Hello, I'm Kiyash Monsef, and I'm here today to talk to you about my upcoming novel, Once There Was. There it is. Once There Was tells the story of a 15-year-old Iranian American girl named Marjan, who inherits a veterinary clinic after her father's sudden death, and soon discovers that he was in fact secretly caring for creatures that should only exist in fairy tales, creatures like griffins and unicorns and manticores. And now those creatures need Marjan's help. And the only clues that she has to guide her into this strange and dangerous new world are stories that her father told her long ago when she was just a little girl. And these are stories that sound like fairy tales, feel like fairy tales, but they're not any fairy tales that Marjan's ever heard anywhere else. This is an adventure story. It's full of mysteries, and it's also kind of a coming of age story. It definitely deals with Marjan connecting with her Iranian heritage in ways that she never has before. And one of the ways that she does that is through the stories that her father tells her. These stories all begin with sort of the Iranian invocation of a fairy tale, which sounds like this: Yeki Bud, Yeki Nabud. And that's sort of the Iranian version of Once Upon a Time, but it means something just a little bit different. It means once was, once wasn't. And actually, the first chapter, which I'm going to share with you, is one of those stories, and so it starts that way as well. And this is called The Girl Who Saved a Unicorn. Once was, once wasn't. A long time ago, in that old forest that lies between the Alborz Mountains and the Caspian Sea, a girl went foraging for mushrooms. It had rained the day before. The ground was soft and damp, and the air smelled of loam and moss. It was a good day for mushrooms. And the girl had nearly filled her basket with lion's mane and hen of the woods when she heard a sound away off in the trees. It sounded like an animal crying out in pain. There were leopards in the forest, and jackals and brown bears. But this girl didn't like to think of any creature suffering. So she set out into the forest in the direction of the sound to see if she could help. A little ways off the path, in a clearing in the deep woods, she found the source of the cries. The unicorn was bleeding and scared, its leg caught in a hunter's snare. It was a huge beast and very wild. The girl had never seen such an animal before, and she knew at once that it was special. She also knew that as soon as the hunter returned to check on his snare, the unicorn would be no more. So she swallowed her fear and crept up on it, as gently and as carefully as she could. To calm it down, she offered it some of the mushrooms she'd picked. And when she felt it was safe to approach, the girl bent down and opened up the trap. The beast seemed to fill the entire clearing with its long legs and its sharp, treacherous horn. The girl stood there frozen, too awed and frightened to move. The unicorn looked at its savior for a long time. Then it took a cautious step on its injured leg toward the girl, lowered its massive head, and plunged its horn into her chest, right above her heart. The girl fell to the ground, and as she did, a piece of the unicorn's horn broke off inside her. The unicorn watched her for another moment, then turned and loped off into the woods, favoring its wounded leg, and was not seen again for 100 years. The girl, bleeding and in shock, managed to gather enough strength to return to the village at the edge of the woods where she lived. There, she collapsed and was carried to her bed. She lay there for many days. At first, no one thought she would survive, but after a day, the bleeding stopped. And after 3 days, the pain began to subside. Slowly, the wound grew smaller and smaller until all that remained was a crescent-shaped scar just above her heart and a little piece of unicorn horn lodged between her ribs. Time passed, and the girl became a woman. She married and had children, and when they were born, some of them had crescent birthmarks above their hearts too. And so did some of their children, and their children's children, and so on. It's said, though no one can be sure, that some of the girl's descendants are still alive today, and that a few of them still carry that mark on their skin where the unicorn first touched her. And it's whispered that maybe, just maybe, there's still a little of the unicorn inside them. Once There Was comes out April 4th, and I hope you all enjoy it. Thank you.